Hello, my name is Samantha and I am one of the lead ambassadors of the Global Ambassadors Program here at the University of Denver. I had the honor of interviewing Ismail Abu Arafeh, who graduated from the University of Denver in 2007. He also is a Fraiberg Scholar, meaning that he earned the Fraiberg Scholarship in 2003 when he was admitted as an undergraduate student. The following video is an interview more about him, about his life before coming to the University of Denver, how being a Fraiberg Scholar had helped him as an international student, as well as how it kind of aided him in his journey into his further into his academic career as well as his professional career. I hope you enjoyed the video and found him just as inspiring as I did.
So my first question for you is before we get into questions more about DU, please tell me what makes you you.
Sure. I feel that when I speak about my personality, it's a bit difficult to give one um, form or one shape of what is my personality. But I would say I'm a person who's ambitious, dedicated. I have goals in mind that I would like to serve the community I work with. And of course, the community could be at very local and it could be, at a global scale. So it really depends on how you look at where are you based and how you work with the people around you. I feel that I would like to give um, back, particularly that I had really good education. I've had amazing opportunities, and I want to make sure that everyone in the world has the same chances that I got, same opportunities that I got. So whatever I can do, whatever I'm doing right now, I feel that I'm contributing towards a goal in mind, that in 10, 15 years time, I'm able to lead an impact investment fund or be a social investor to help people, particularly youth, transform their ideas, their aspirations into businesses, social enterprises. Um, that's what I guess makes me. And of course, when it gets to the personal level, I do enjoy travel. I do enjoy um, working with others from other cultures. Um, I feel that I learn most when I'm faced with new perspectives. And these are the things that usually get you to completely shift from your own mindset and be able to open up to new ideas and new ways of thinking.
That's really cool, actually. Thank you for that. So now we're gonna shift over to speaking more about DU. So tell us how you came to discover DU and what was it about the school that attracted you?
Sure. When I first started, I had a goal in mind that I want to pursue my studies in the US. So I started corresponding with, I think, more than 30 universities. And it was a very, traditional format letter where I sent it to everyone and just changed the heading, the title, and, waiting for a response. And obviously, most of them did not reply because that was standardized letter. But I got a few responses, and the one that stood out was one from Marjorie,
Mhm.
the international dean at the admissions office. She said, "I remember it very well. Glad you were in contact. I have good news for you. We have a new scholarship made for one Palestinian, one Israeli, um, and I would strongly encourage you to apply." And then, since then, it's been very touching the way we interacted. I was in communication with another university, but when it came to the final decision, I got actually a full scholarship at both universities.
Mhm.
But when it came to the final decision, it was a bit easy. And finally, when I started even to evaluate it, um, I was at Fort Collins,
Mhm.
CU Fort Collins, with my dad when I was 2 years old. So there was something, it was a basic instinct that, I'm going there.
So it was definitely like our staff that kind of like also kind of further encouraged you to attend our school as well.
Absolutely. I mean, going at the, I started searching on the internet, looking at the campus, looking at the different programs. And what I liked most was that the first year, well, there was a sense that this is a university for also accommodating a lot of international
Mhm,
students.
mhm,
So there was a sense about that, but there was a sense about leadership. And I was at that point, I really wanted to, improve my leadership skills. And I remember one of the classes, it was a freshman year. I can't remember what it was. It was like a cohort.
Okay.
You choose wellness, you choose leadership, you choose
Mhm, mhm.
other things, and I just loved it. So it was an easy choice for me.
That's super exciting. It's definitely changed a bit since then, but I'm very glad that there was a lot of things that attracted you about DU. Um, so then my next question is, what were some of the biggest culture shocks that you faced when you first moved to Denver? Or, what did you face also in general moving to the United States?
Uh, so many things. So many. It was a big cultural shock. But I guess the friendliness of the people. Because I visited before
Mhm, mhm.
the US, and I visited more like big cities.
Okay. Mhm,
So DU was a bit, Denver in general is completely different. So people were friendly, people were, outdoors. Uh, yeah, completely different vibe that you get from any other city. Maybe what I like most is how people are really caring about um, how to give you advice.
mhm, mhm,
Particularly as an international student, I had so much doubts
mhm,
around so many things. And I've always, was thinking that, this is going to be strict. You have to maintain a 3.0 average, or you have to, get, I don't know, whatever grade, and you need to know your major. And there was a set of things that I felt I needed to have. And I wasn't ready for it.
mhm,
And the amount of advice and counseling and mentoring that I received was tremendous. So that was a big, big thing also that I felt because here it's mostly teaching.
mhm,
So
mhm,
people would give you, lecturing, teaching, but anything beyond this is minimal. So that was the second thing. And the third aspect, which was also amazing for me, university life, particularly extracurricular activities. I loved the sense of being engaged in student organizations and in the student life on campus, the residencies. Uh, there were so many shocks there,
mhm,
but it
mhm.
was really amazing experience.
That's super exciting. Do you remember what it was like first stepping onto campus and like kind of taking it all in and realizing that like now you were a university student at the University of Denver? Like, do you remember what that was like?
Absolutely. So I came on August 22nd.
Okay. Hmm.
I was the first student to come in, and I was going to JMAC. I don't know, JMAC is still
Yeah,
there?
I lived there last year actually.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah.
So I went there, and I was the only student, and I felt so lonely.
Hmm.
It was tough.
Hmm.
But I was like, okay, I'm not gonna stay at the room because it's gonna get depressing. So I started walking around, and I loved the campus.
Hmm.
I remember I walked around, was it
Yeah,
Marjorie Smith,
Marjorie Reed. Yeah.
Marjorie Reed
Yeah.
building.
Yes.
So I was walking around uh, these areas, and then the bridge.
Yes, the bridge. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember these vividly, and I loved the time there.
Hmm.
And then I noticed that there was a Jerusalem restaurant there.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's still
It's
on the
still there. It's
corner.
still on like the corner of like
Awesome.
Evans. Yeah, it's still there. It's so
Exactly.
good.
So that I felt a bit at home.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
so obviously it was a tough start being
Hmm.
alone, but immediately I was able to, there were really good escapades there that allowed me to
Yeah.
get energized.
Hmm. Would you ever want to like come back and visit? Like, is that in the plan somewhere down the line, or you know?
It's certainly a plan,
Hmm.
and definitely I'm coming it uh, very soon. I was hoping 3 years ago I was coming to Arizona, four
Hmm.
years ago maybe.
Hmm.
So I thought that's an excellent opportunity to come visit. But unfortunately, it was with work, and
Hmm.
it was a very busy um, program, so I wasn't able to, and I had to come back immediately after.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a plan, and it will
Cool.
happen very soon.
You should let us know so that we can, have something to do with you.
I
Okay.
will I will sure be in contact before I come.
Cool. This is so exciting. Okay, so shifting back to the original questions that I had for you. So when you applied to DU, did you know anything about the Fraiberg Scholarship? I mean, I do know that you spoke about the admissions, the international dean, but were you just sending all these letters without any expectations about scholarships?
Well, no, I was contacting mostly um, universities that offer scholarship because
Okay.
education is a bit expensive. I
Hmm.
wasn't able to afford it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, but most of the universities would offer partial,
Hmm.
some would offer full scholarships, but like very few.
Hmm.
Um, and it was tough. It was tough to find them. So immediately, the first response was, I have good news. The Fraiberg Scholarship. I, you know, I
Hmm.
was, I knew everything about the scholarship very early on. So
Okay, okay. And
although it
so,
was a first year
hmm.
scholarship.
Hmm. Hmm. That's yeah, because I mean a lot of students don't realize that there are a lot of scholarships that they can apply for. So I just wanted to ask you more about that whole process.
Yeah,
Um, so then tell us more about when you received news that you were like offered it in reality, and where were you? Who did you tell first? Like what did you feel?
I I wanted to pursue my education. So that was a year, an
Mhm.
off year for me.
Okay.
It was right after high school.
Hmm.
I decided not to pursue anything because preparing for college would require almost a year.
Hmm.
And I couldn't do it in my senior year because I was just focused on uh, s- the last year in school here is usually tough. So I
Hmm.
wanted to focus on that and then do the scholarship search the next year.
Hmm.
Um, I was taking some courses in preparing me for the colleges here. And I remember that day, I think it was the big test that
Hmm.
I needed to take that would determine which major I could be eligible for
Hmm.
at your local university.
Hmm.
And I got the news.
Hmm.
And I was looking around and looking at the colleagues and peers in my class. And I was like, okay, I'm not going forward with all this, but I'm not just gonna break this now.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was, it was a close group. We
Hmm.
were all like competing and whatnot, and I was one of the good achievers. So everyone was like expecting me to get like a really good grade in this test. But yeah, I was so excited that I had to break the news,
Hmm.
but immediately I had to call my dad. He was very upfront. He was very supportive in this journey, and called my mom, and then called my brother and sister, and you know, I wasn't able to keep it all in, so I had to call a lot of people.
So then, so you were back home when you received this news, and so then what? So did that was that the final decision? That was that the final like factor that like you had to go to Denver now? Was that really like that final push for you to move to Denver for school?
Well, I had 2 weeks, I think, to decide.
Okay, okay.
And it was at the same time that I received a good positive message from Miami University in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I had to make a decision between those two. So yeah, it was again back to the basic instinct, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
really good university. I spoke to, I think, past students from both universities, and I just felt University of Denver is where I want to be.
Cool. So can you tell me more about what it was like? Did you move to Denver by yourself? Like, did you fly from home to Denver on your own? Did you move in by yourself?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was 19 years old, a bit less. Can't remember the details exactly, but I flew straight to Denver,
Uh-huh.
and you know, I remember actually from the airport, I was getting really excited and I wanted to see the downtown. And the closer I would get, I'm like, what? This is not there's no downtown here.
Mhm.
But then, on I-25, I think it was, I
Yes.
can't remember, I-25.
Yes, I totally remember.
Then I started seeing the skyscrapers, and I was like, okay, there were lightings around them, so it was definitely nice. And then when I got to the university, this is when it got a bit lonely. There's no one, and I came at
Yeah.
night.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
yeah, well, really good memories now.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Um, okay, so shifting more towards your history, can you share something about like your past while you were like in like school perhaps that you didn't realize would lead you to becoming a Fraiberg scholar?
Yeah, well, if I want to look at one particular program, I think that helped a lot
Hmm.
was the Presidential Classroom Future World Leaders Summit program. It was a week-long program in the US. I was 14 years old.
Wow.
I was probably the youngest. Uh, and I traveled by myself.
Wow, okay.
It was a very tough decision for my parents to let me
Yeah.
go. But yeah, I went to Washington, D.C. And again, there I was shocked because I was expecting, the big downtown and
Mhm.
uh, everything's big in the US, but you go to Washington, D.C., and nothing's above the Capitol building.
Uh-huh.
So, so I was like, okay,
Hmm.
it's good to see these things. And it was a full week that I was there, but that played a big role, I think. Um, Other things is just all the leadership uh, programs that I had, whether it was summer camps, whether it was like other extracurricular activities that I engaged with, that all helped, build the character, the resume, the profile that I had back then that qualified me for this position, for this scholarship. Sorry.
Wow, you lived a very interesting life. When I was 14, I was not doing any of that. So,
It was
um
definitely exciting. Yeah.
okay, so then what opportunities did the Fraiberg Scholarship offer to you personally? This could be during your time at DU or like even after you graduated.
I guess it was all during my studies, and then primarily it was allowing me to study in the US, allowing me to get really good education at the University of Denver, allowing me to really immerse myself in on campus, which I feel was great,
Mhm.
uh, great positive, had a great positive contribution towards where I am right now. Um, so all in all, it's just the opportunity to really get uh, this excellent education, this excellent, on-campus experience. Um, Yeah.
So do you like, I don't know if we ever covered this, but what did you major in at school, or like, what was your major?
Well, it's a very good question because the first 4 months
Hmm.
I intended to do something in politics.
Hmm.
And I think 6 months down the line, I declared my major international studies.
Hmm.
But then the last year,
Okay.
the end of the
Okay.
freshman year,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
changed to business.
Hmm.
And then I changed back to international studies. So it was between international studies and business.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I ended up with an international studies major
Hmm.
and a minor in business and French.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, cool, cool,
Yes.
cool. Okay, so then what is one piece of advice you would either give to your past self or just like anybody in general?
Uh, Number one would be to really enjoy every moment,
Hmm.
every single minute of your time there, even if it was tough, it was difficult, it was you felt in a really bad mood. Just try to see this as an opportunity, as a time to that you really reflect back on and you'd love. Uh, Second would be to really immerse yourself. Don't come with prejudgments on what you want to do, even your major,
Hmm.
even what classes you're gonna take or what particular life. Don't say no to anything. Try to really immerse yourself in every experience possible, because these are all add to your character. The third would be just how to engage on campus.
Hmm.
Um, I I'm a strong believer that whatever education you get at college, at least 50% of it is outside of class.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, what extracurricular activities you engage in? Student organizations. I was heavily involved in student organizations, and I felt that till today, the skills that I gained, the emotional intelligence that you get from these experiences play a big role in what I'm doing right now. So, I would certainly and highly recommend to focus on student life equally, if not more important than academics. I don't know if that's a good advice, but certainly I would highly recommend giving its fair share of your efforts and time and dedication.
No, I completely agree with that because a lot of the skill that I've learned and like a lot of the relationships I built have been like also outside of the classroom. So speaking about extracurriculars, can you recall what extracurriculars you're involved in or like whatever organizations
Yeah.
you're involved in on campus?
So that first week that I came,
Hmm.
there was something called the International Orientation Team.
Okay. Hmm. Hmm.
And there was the I week, the
Hmm.
international week. So it was a week before everyone gets in, all students, and it's dedicated for international students. Um, so I kept going to the I house,
Hmm.
the international house,
Hmm.
because I felt, it's the same group of people that are facing the same difficulties, same challenges as mine. So I stayed engaged with I team. And the second year, I was the president of this organization.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that was one of the main things. And I continued to be engaged with I team for the all 4 years that I was at DU. I also, joined the fraternity
Hmm.
because, again, I told you I wanted to immerse myself all in
Uh-huh.
this new culture. So I was at Theta Chi fraternity.
Okay.
That was my third semester at freshman year.
Hmm.
I founded a student-led organization dedicated to Middle Eastern studies. Uh, I was involved in business. business fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember if it was accounting or it was a business fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
At Daniel's College of Business,
Mm-hmm.
and that was also very beneficial. I was engaged in MUN, Model United Nations, as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's my sophomore year. So, a lot of organizations that I could think of.
Yeah.
That, yeah, there was another organization I can't remember, but even a student parliament. I
Mm-hmm.
remember that we had to pitch our budget to them when I was part of I-Team, and we were able to get funding from the student parliament. So yeah, overall, I was very heavily engaged on campus.
Yeah, you were like everywhere. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
And
I
like
loved it. I
I'm
love these things.
I'm glad. So then were you able to ever like get a job on campus? Like were you ever able to work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked at the DU call center.
Oh, okay. That's
Uh,
cool. Mm-hmm.
yes, I was working with my boss was named Jared,
Mm-hmm.
and he was really, really cool guy. So I would call alumni,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, asking for alumni to give back to the university. But I thought, at first it felt to me that this is, it's like the business calling centers and it's like salespeople. But immediately you realize how different it is
Mm-hmm.
because the alumni that you work with are waiting for this call. Many of them would just be like so eager. You could tell the smile on their face as soon as they get the call. And you know, they would say, "Yeah, put me in for whatever." But
Mm-hmm.
then they would carry on the conversation and they would want to know about you. They want
Oh.
to know about DU. They would ask questions about the different buildings. Is this still there? Uh, for them, it was some of these calls were like more than an hour
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Wow.
in length. And, it was our boss was heavily encouraging this, although the numbers are important,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it's you know, engaging with alumni, which was number one important, and giving them the opportunities to really connect with the university, with the students, to give them a moment of reflection on their time back when they were at DU.
Were you ever like after you graduated, were you ever contacted by the call center here or
Unfortunately, not. I've been waiting for this.
Well, maybe this is our version of contacting alum. I
Yeah,
don't know how it works for international alumni, so maybe that's why you
we
haven't.
used to call them. We
Oh,
used to
okay.
call them.
Okay. I'm not sure because I actually do have friends that work there now, so maybe I can ask them to call you eventually.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. So then my last question for you is what projects are you currently working on and what are your plans for the future?
Right now, I'm working on a really exciting portfolio
Mhm.
that I, along with other colleagues, worked on from scratch. So I don't want to get too much into politics, but when in Palestine, most of the businesses, particularly small businesses, are struggling.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they're not very resilient because we're under a state of occupation. It's really difficult to cope, to be able to. It's not the natural business environment for business to succeed. So when we started visiting these small and medium enterprises, they're all competing with each other on price. They're very much disorganized, and competing on price is not a good formula for success, particularly in a context where it's under occupation. Everything is costly.
Mhm.
Everything is costly. So you can't compete globally. You can't compete locally because with globalization you have, products that are coming from everywhere, much cheaper than your own products. Um, So we felt that there needs to be something done to really rectify this and to improve how the economy responds and tailors to the needs of the small and medium enterprises. Uh, what we came up with was that we need to compete on value
Mhm.
rather than price.
Mhm.
What we noticed is that there are certain markets that Palestine is good at, solidarity markets, fair trade markets, but these are very limited markets. Whereas value-driven markets are becoming much more mainstream. So
Mhm.
consumers are much more aware of ethical, sustainable practices. They're mindful about the background of their products. They want to ensure that their products are actually adhering to these principles. Palestine and Palestinian history is all about making value-based products.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, when these are competing on commercial markets based on price, there's no chance. But if you're able to tailor these to this new emerging market, value driven, you're able to have something. So right now we're looking at handicrafts, Palestinian handicrafts, and we're noticing this, that we're untapping unable to tap onto this new value-based market. Whereas we have amazing offering in terms of Palestinian handicrafts. Same as food, Palestinian food. You know, whether you're talking about ready-made recipes or even the natural ingredients, wild food. All these we have amazing history, really rich practices, even sustainable practices that are happening at the field,
Mhm.
that are being taught now as new technology that
Mhm.
has been historically
Mhm.
there. Tourism, what alternative eco community-based tourism offering that we have that we could really revolutionize how the economy is built, looking at much more impact and value-driven areas that are able to compete and at the same time inherently sustainable because they are very social in nature.
Wow,
So
that's
that's that's a big portfolio.
Mhm.
It will be for the next, I think, 3 4 years.
Mhm.
My ambition would be to have an impact investment fund that just invest in these social enterprises that are able to tap onto these value-based markets, that are able to do good and are inclusive and are resilient, um, and able to shift how the Palestinian economy operates towards a more social and economically driven one.
Wow. That sounds just like it's super inspiring to hear more about you and what you're trying to do. And yeah,
Thank
when
you
I
so
was reading through your LinkedIn, I was like very thoroughly impressed. I was sitting there like, wow, he has
much.
done a lot, he's accomplished a lot, and he's gonna do more. And
Thank
so
you.
that's why I was very excited to also interview you as well, just because again, you're just overall super inspiring. Um
Thank you so much.
of course.
That is the end of the video, and I hope that you enjoyed it. The next couple clips are just some pieces of advice that he left me after we had concluded the interview. And I hope that watching this video has inspired you to consider the University of Denver as a place for you to call home and to create new experiences and build new relationships. So yeah, until the next video.
Well, Samantha, it was really great to talk to you. I wish you the best and really cherish every moment that you have. These are the best times. You're gonna look back. I enjoy my life now, but nothing like when I was at DU. So enjoy it. It's you might not feel it now, but looking, in 10 years' time, you're gonna be like, wow, these are the best times.
I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. But thank you so much again for doing this interview.
Of course.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you, Samantha. We'll see you. Bye.